everybody. My name is Lauren Halstead from Chainlink Labs. I run business development for sports media and entertainment. I'm so excited today to have a bunch of my friends and guests on the stage. We're going to bring up Alan Smith from CAA. We got our special guest. She's not up here, but it's Lucy Rogers from Soga World. We got Rachel Karry from World Artists United and Jalen James Acosta from World Artists United as well. Please give them a warm welcome.
Hi.
So as some of you may know or not know, but I've been spending my time at Chainlink working on growing the creator economy and discovering the people in the space that are really trying to make this happen. So I think we can just start off by going around the room and introducing yourselves and what you're working on to everybody, and we can start it off from there.
Sure. How you doing? What's up, people? My name is Jalen James. I started my career as a creator, musician, considered a pioneer in Latin music. If you like Latin music, I was one of the crazies that was inventing and creating, putting hip-hop R&B stuff into bachata and reggaeton early on, and people thought I was nuts, but here we are. I am also a filmmaker. We are partners in a multimedia company, and we are also GPs on our own fund. We are investing into music tech innovation, and today you'll understand why.
Hey everyone, Rachel Karry, serial social entrepreneur and just music advocate and lover. All the things that Jalen said are, one of our main focuses right now is helping to reinvent the music industry and the creator economy. And from an infrastructure standpoint, there's so much to be desired. And we really realized that if it was only the labels that were investing into the technologies, they would continue to do the same, right? So we really needed to change things up. We need, of course, more diversity when it comes to, allocating funds into the space. And so we're really excited about our venture fund, which is, investing into all the ecosystem tools within the industry. So we'll share more about that. But glad to be here.
Hey, I'm Lucy. I have a Web3 talent and management creative agency which partners Web2 typical talent, so music, sports, anything like that, into the Web2 space and kind of brings their fans along. So we've been doing some really cool projects. We did the world's first NFT chart eligible project. We beat Madonna going in at number 2. We've done the world's first football club DAO, where fans own 20% of the club. And we've done various other things like that, brokered Neo's NFT ticketing platform Authentics for him with Get Protocol. And yeah, we're just very much specialists in working with talent, building their proposition in Web3, and also trying to align with purpose along the way and doing good. My background is like Atlantic Records, working for labels. I worked at an advertising agency prior to that as well, so very much get that world. And then my business partner is a Binance angel, has been in the space for the last 5 years and is super on the crypto side, so we came together, and that's what we do.
It's afternoon now. I was about to say good morning. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Alan Smith. I am a talent executive at CAA, Creative Artist Agency. So there I spend about 40% of my time building talent-driven consumer product brands. So hair care, skincare, beauty, alcohol, all those types of things. But I spend the majority of my time on the Web3 side, representing both Web3 native artists and talent like Micah Johnson or Rafiq Anandal, and also helping bring like Web2 traditional talent. So I'm usually leaning more into the music, but film directors, writers, producers that want to move into the Web3 space in an authentic manner. So been in the crypto space since like 2016, I think. On my personal life, and then it kind of crashed with my professional life at the top of 2021. So it's been a wild ride since then. So just happy for this conversation with my friends and talking with you guys after.
Awesome. So
Yes.
Alan, yes.
Let's go.
Let's go.
I'm ready.
Jalen, do you want to start?
I might say a few controversial things today. I don't know, but it's coming. All right, go ahead.
All right. I guess we can just pick up with Alan. So in your experience from, being just a crypto side passive investor, somebody's interested in it, and when did CAA start contacting you, or did you reach out to them and tell them this is something you actually were interested in working on? Like, what spurred and sparked the moment when Web3 became a thing in the agency world?
So for about like 6 months in 2020, I was like, guys, the halving just happened. We need to start reaching out to these exchanges. no one was really listening to me at first, and like, yeah, sure,
Surprise.
crypto. And then I really think, and this is kind of corny, but everyone saw what Jake Paul and Grimes did with their NFTs, and so that kind of just got everyone clamoring and thinking about, I need to do NFTs. And so that was kind of like the start of it all, I would say, at most agencies, talent agencies, because it was still a new technology for most traditional talent agents. But since then, we've really just been focusing on how can we bring our talent that have a core competency in like writing, producing, music, acting, and bring them over to the space in an authentic way. And so that's kind of been like the challenge, and you've kind of probably seen that with regards to the amount of celebrities that have slowed down on getting into Web3, because it's kind of, they've seen the pitfalls, and like the ones that are really leaning in are the ones that want to learn about it, and so those are the ones I'm most excited about.
Yeah. We'll get into the pitfalls later.
Yeah, Jalen, let's go. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your story and how you got here as an artist? Because I think I can relate a lot to it in terms of, trying to give people credit for the ones who are actually creating the content themselves. And yeah, just hearing it.
Yeah, you know what? I think that is a good segue before we continue on this journey. I think it's important to know, first of all, what is the creator economy? Everybody talks about it, right? Everybody's all about it. However, show me the creators that have been funded so that they can build technologies they actually need. It's really just the techies and the big companies and corporations. Thankfully, companies like yours are now really helping us, people like us, right? But the majority of people that get funded are VCs are funding other major tech or labels or other companies. They're not really saying, hey, Mr. Creator with a brilliant idea that can solve the problem of the thing you've been doing your whole life. Let's fund that idea, right?
Yeah.
No one's saying that. But that being said, I don't want to take too much time, but I do want to say this. When you start your career, most creators, musicians, athletes, people come from nothing, right? I mean, I grew up in Miami, in New York City, and then Miami. When I was homeless at 16, so guess what? I took a Greyhound to Miami because it's less cold over there, right? And so the point is that when you grow up trying to build a creator, use your creativity to make a living, you want tools and you want things and you want most of all trust and transparency in the things that you do. This is something that doesn't exist in the music industry. So the first controversial thing that I'm going to say, and you know where I'm going, is the word for us, for creators, for musicians. When you say trustless,
Here we go.
that's the world that we've been in this whole time. So I'd rather use a word like transparency. Not because I coined it, but I did. It's trademarked. Don't try it. But more because it is what we need, trust and transparency. And I'm not trying to take anything away from how it is being used. It is 100% proper, trustless. I get it. I understand that. But I'm just letting you know from the creator, we need trust. It's not less trust or something without trust. It's more like we need. So that being said, when you grow up in that environment, you need tools, you need things, you need people that come together and build technologies to help you move forward, right?
Yes.
And so the creator economy better be about building those tools for us. I'm tired of giving my music away for free. Do you think musicians like it when you say, oh yeah, by the way, I need you to not just give me free music, but you better make a music video. If not, I won't pay attention. And oh, by the way, show me that behind the scenes of how you made that music video so that maybe I'll stop scrolling on your picture and click it, right?
Right.
So more on that later, but this is basically my journey was that. From homeless to multi-platinum producer, and then I built a few successful companies ever since with this amazing partner here. And so we're here to invest into properties like Chainlink are helping us create better, transparent applications so that we can track, protect, collect our intellectual property.
And give them the why. Like, what happened to you all those years that you were touring, making all of this money, and where it was going?
So imagine you start selling millions of records, right? You start at a time, now we think of streams. Almost the equivalent, right? You start doing that, and imagine that somebody at the same time was literally registering you got to fill out something called a split sheet so you can get paid, right? If we all right here, let's say there's 40 of us here, if we write a song together, that's about the amount of people that write a rap song nowadays. So if 40 of us write a record right now, we got to fill out this thing that says, hey, you get 0.2, you get 0.2, right? Everybody gets a percentage. It's called a split sheet. Guess what? Somebody was forging my split sheet, even though I was signing that document. They were turning in a different document. Again, archaic, right? It's old. But now, it's no different. Even though they did that and they robbed me from my publishing, my royalties that I never saw, right? It still can happen now because, first of all, the metadata can be input wrong, right? Number one. And number two, we all know the people that actually go to a recording studio and work on a record, before it goes out there into the world, all the songwriters and producers have to agree on the percentages they're going to get paid. And if you've never been to a recording studio when it's actually happening and there's 3 strippers and 4, pimps and like all these things going on at the same time, everybody has amnesia the very next day as to who did what. So we're solving, again, problems like that can only be solved with Web3, period, And so this is why I'm excited. More on me later, but I want to get back to them,
Yeah, Rachel, are you happy to jump in and tell us a little bit more about World Artists United too?
Yeah, so World Artists United, we're a 360 creative agency, so we do a lot to, develop artists, all of that. But throughout that journey, we really realized that, number one, there really wasn't community for the innovators in the space. Number one, to have space like this. I'm so excited about just being in this room with all of you and learning everything that I am here. It's really been, so mind-blowing. There's a lot of acronyms, so if you guys could use a few less of those, that would be great. But nonetheless, it's just so exciting to see really where the future can go. So as we were building our label, number one, I realized, wow, everyone keeps telling artists that they can be entrepreneurs, right? You have these distribution channels, you have social media, you have this quote-unquote fan base. At the end of the day, artists don't own any of that information, any of that data. That's why we're here, because that in and of itself is what needs to be solved. So we pivoted and we said, all right, first we need to create that space for education and for community. So we started the Music Entrepreneur Conference about 5 years ago. And it's just been amazing to see the people come together, to really, again, kind of reinvent this industry. But throughout that was where we noticed, wow, all of these amazing, companies kept coming to us for support and business development to help get their projects out there, but so frustrated on the funding side. And so that's why we were like, we have to, crack that code and put this VC in place. But more so than that, with DeFi, with everything with Web3, we don't even need that traditional, financial route. But again, it's just takes a village to really recreate that system. So now we're investing into everything from fintech, marketing tech, legal tech. Again, we need to really reinvent this whole ecosystem and make sure that it's an end-to-end solution, not like solving this little problem here and this little problem here, none of which communicate with one another, because right now there's a lot of different services and things to help artists, which it's getting better, so it's so exciting, but it's still massively confusing for them because all the data, all the information is spread out everywhere, and there's no way to really harness and leverage all of those assets and all that information. And so that's really where our focus is now. So if y'all have any cool things and cool ideas, please come talk to us afterwards. We'd love to hear it.
Yeah, we're here to build. So, let's make sure that we connect on that.
Good. Lucy, so you can share maybe about some of the artists who you've worked with. How do you think they feel? How many questions do they ask you, when they approach? Is it, what's an NFT? We're in it for the long run. We're in for a cash grab. What's the ecosystem like?
So the first thing when you work with artists and you say NFT, I think it throws them, and they're kind of like, because
I want to jump out the chair. I want to fight.
Right now, let's kill the term NFT and just
that is the main issue. And when you work with artists, you see how bad that issue is in terms of onboarding people. Who really knew what fungible? There's probably a lot of bankers in the room, so maybe they do know what fungible. I personally didn't. But no one really knows what's fungible. It kind of, outsmarts the industry you're trying to target. So a lot of artists, if you look under their comments and a lot of the drops, I'm kind of really analyzing how it's gone down. It's like NFT, or you're getting into scams, you're trying to rob us. You're already giving them that connotation before you're even trying to kind of push your product. So digital collectibles, like when you call them that, or you kind of integrate their whole music campaigns as that's part of your marketing. So you have a music video, you have artwork, you have a launch party, you have an NFT collection. If you're using music-based or entertainment-based NFTs in that way, we obviously all want this to be mass-adopted tech. This is the best way to do it, because then it becomes seamless. Also using in real-life events, to me, that is the key with onboarding Web 2 to Web 3 when you're working with talent or celebrities, because if you've got, say for example, we're doing like this really nice mental health project with an artist. If we're doing in-person or in metaverse sessions and things like that, they get to interact with them, they see the benefit as a normal fan. I don't need to know what an NFT is for that. And I saw a Polygon chat earlier where he said, no one says the World Wide Web anymore. It used to be, oh, don't go on the phone, I'm going online. And it's literally that. Like, we don't need to bring that level of tech into what NFTs are when you're working with people that are kind of a bit bewildered by it and will be put off by that term and already feel outsmarted. I feel like I really diverted there.
I know you want to say something, but go ahead, because I need to talk about this whole NFT thing.
No, I was just going to say, I mean, she brings up a really good point. It's like, what we're facing right now is we're not meeting people where they are. And I think like the companies that can meet people where they are, where it's like seamless, are the companies that are going to win and get us to the next 10 million or 50 million people coming on board.
Yes.
So for instance, I was trying to explain to my mom like what an NFT was and all this stuff. And the best way I got to her was I was like, just imagine you're at the mall and you have an app and you open it and there's like this AR digital good for like Nordstrom's or something. I was like, Mom, what you can do is collect it on your phone and then go redeem that at Nordstrom's for 10 or 15% off. And she was like, oh, so like a digital coupon. And I was like, yes, I mean, that is in effect of like what we're trying to do is like meet people where they are on very different levels. And so like on the music side, we've been seeing that. On the film and TV side, not so much, and we can talk about that part as well, but since this is so music focused, we can stay here. But I'm really just focused on meeting people where they are and also making sure we're not leaving communities behind like we did in the past tech revolution. So women, black and brown communities, like that whole, like let's all come together and work together in this space. And I think that's what the creator economy is really trying to elevate and resonate with.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So first of all, obviously, let me start with I'm mega excited that there's so many applications in which like NFTs are being used for so many amazing applications, right? And obviously we've seen that at the peak of it, a lot of people are monetizing on the NFT ecosystem quick, early, right? Now, but here's where I have a major problem, all right? Again, might be a little controversial. Here's what I think. I think that what the NFT, the technology that fuels the NFT is brilliant, and I need to harness that. We need to harness that together. We need to reverse engineer that and utilize that, and maybe whether it's through using SDKs or just figuring out from other applications that we're pulling from, how to bridge the Web 2 and Web 3 component together, right? Meaning, we went from, as an artist, think about it this way. First, you were stealing my music with Napster. All right, let's start there. Then, CDs they were pretty cool. They were doing stuff. And then, MP3s came along, streaming happened. So now we went from getting paid pennies on a CD to now, all of a sudden, you're going to get paid 0.00437 cents per stream, and you're going to be happy about it. And by the way, make way more content that you got to pay for, okay? And then we went from that to like, you know what? Maybe you shouldn't even own your own IP. I'm going to buy it because I'm a fan. I'm going to buy your NFT. I'm going to own it. I'm going to do whatever I want. And you're going to start getting a little bit of, no, sorry. That doesn't work for me. That doesn't work for any artist that you'll ever talk to. Now, if you said to me for the rest of your life, you're going to get X amount of royalties, meaning the royalties and the publishing that come along as a writer. 'Cause again, if you don't know how a song works, songwriters, right, music and lyrics are two different things in the studio. You get paid separately. The producer can get, and I'm a music producer as well, right? We get paid pretty good money. We make the record. But if I wrote with her the song, I'll also get publishing from her. She's not going to get any publishing from me. And if Lauren sang that song, then now she's getting the performance part of it, right? So the point is that all these things have to be figured out properly so that I could be happy with how the NFT, with gladly saying, hey, I'm dropping an NFT, but here's what the repercussions of that mean for me and my family for the rest of our life, right? That's the difference, and that's why. But I do love where we're going. If not, I wouldn't be here. I think that what you guys here can help us take this to the next level. And it's going to take the Avengers. It's going to take all of us coming together like Avengers with a different superpower and putting it together. It's not going to be just me or Kanye, who I love. Yay, it's like, what a genius. I know you guys think he's whatever. I think he's the most genius person that I know.
I think he's a genius.
And I don't know him, but I'm saying, like, music-wise.
Just to add as well, I think it's important when approaching celebrity and music NFTs that it's not about the money, it's not about a cash grab. It's about creating your community, having a more accessible fan base that are more engaged with you, being able to reward them, and also just like
Transparency.
Transparency, and like Meta owns your followers essentially. Like if Meta wants to close your account down, then what? Like let's own our own entities and like let's grow the music industry for the people and not for the big institutions and the companies that are mainly profiting off of them.
Yeah.
Right.
And I'd like to say, a lot of times when people come to me with all these different ideas and all these artists who want to work on it, the first thing I ask them is the artist actually interested in Web3 and crypto?
Thank you.
Like, I think this is so pivotal because they have to personally care about this for this to work.
Yeah.
Similar to me, like I've spent the past 10 years advocating for crypto, like on the ground. I'd show up at meetups when I'm the only one there. I think the artists and the people driving the innovation have to have that passion, or else that's when it turns into a cash grab, or they're easily, their NFT didn't sell and they're automatically out. It doesn't matter if it doesn't sell it the first time. They have to keep trying, keep going, and learning what they did wrong.
I like that.
So that's something very important. Another thing I'm learning and wanting to tell the builders is that understanding how the music industry works, how these different industries work, like having that basic understanding, you need to understand what you're trying to change it. Like, what are the problems? And I think a lot of the projects that are being built right now, they don't know like how this actually works. So like, how are you supposed to change something if you don't know how it works?
Yeah,
so,
I hear all the time, I think I'm just going to start a music DAO.
like, what
All
does
right.
that even mean?
But they're not even calling me and saying, hey, I need some advice as to how things used to work so we can make it work proper, less, as they say, less palais on this.
I think it's like you like a lot of tech companies, they might see music as something that's super interesting and loads of money and they want to be a part of it and it's cool, but they're not using people within music, so they're solving problems that aren't there, and the problems that are gaping holes are not being solved, and there's no music entities in their advisement teams. And that's what I think we need to kind of get away from doing, and I think it needs to be more, okay, cool, what are the music entities that are trying to solve this? We want to build a product, let's kind of collaborate and see what the actual issues are that we can actually impact.
And we can turn this over to Alan, who has more of a traditional background. So we're not not trying to either also take away these freaking
no, he's a visionary.
jobs.
No, I mean, I think we're only speaking on one side of it as well with regards to like the distribution of music or the distribution of content. But there's the whole other side of Web3 where it's just a more engaged fan base, more engaged fan experience. And so, like for instance, what we saw at Coachella this year with their live stage. So if you were there at the main stage and you didn't have a camera, you saw one show. If you had your camera out, you saw the additional AR overlay. If you were watching it on YouTube at home, you saw a completely different show. So like all that still kind of falls under the Web3 umbrella. And so what I've been talking to a lot of our artists, and Lucy kind of mentioned this earlier, like Web3 can also just be additive to what you're already doing, right? So if you're going to release an album or you're going to release a movie, you can have that campaign, traditional campaign, and overlay Web3 technology And again, you're meeting people where they are. They don't need to know all the back end stuff around it, but they could just think it's cool coming up with, coming into an album or coming into a festival or coming into a movie show or a movie screening. So I think there's various ways that artists, musicians, talent can use Web3 technology, not just from the distribution side with NFTs, but also just from the fan experience and the fan engagement. And I think we're going to start seeing a lot more of that with regards to like live shows and artists incorporating like POAPs and artists incorporating like live moments that only you as a fan that were there could capture. So I think all that kind of weaves into this Web3 experience, and it's not just, let's just not leave it at the keyboard. Like also, again, I keep saying this, meeting people where they are, I think that's how we're going to grow the industry.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Really putting yourself like in the fans' shoes of,
Right.
And how we're going to onboard them, right?
Right.
The most successful NFT projects and all of that out there have really been super thoughtful of maybe just like launching something where it's first just download a wallet, right? Let's just start there and let's get that. So there's, I don't know who it was that I was reading about recently, and they were like, you have to do kind of unscalable things and really think about small niche communities. All of the most successful NFT projects have only been like, maybe a couple hundred NFTs. We're not doing this on a mass scale, so you really have to think about like how to kind of segment your fan base, and then think about that in kind of like different areas of your fan base. Who's really ready for some of the bigger conversations, and who really just needs to like start small, because that's where, if you focus on that, the long-term gain and the long-term, success overall is going to be much more so. And we really need, the rest of the Web3 community to be investing into the education of the creator economy, right? We would love more of you to be a part of the Music Entrepreneur Conference. Let's think about how we can really tie, those two worlds together and start to do more education.
Well, I want to say this, and I think I'm going to scale it back just a second and talk about this part. I want to make it important for you to give a shit about it, for you to want to solve the problem, all right? So 68% of musicians suffer from mental health issues. Surprise! We're writing, sad, broken heart songs and shit. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about beyond that. I'm talking about like doing all these things. This is the life of a musician. Let me show you. This is us right here. Everywhere we go, hey guys, let's do a selfie together. Hey! And we got to do all this freaking content just so you give a shit and you pay attention, right? Well, here's the reality of it. Most artists do not have, they get 5 million streams, right? 5 million streams, $3,500. Now, if you got it and you find it, show me an apartment in New York City where you can pay $3,500, your Verizon bill, your clothes, your food, entertain, and so forth and so on, have a girlfriend or a boyfriend or whatever you prefer. Do you get where I'm going with this? And now, ask yourself, out of all the people that you know that are artists, how many of them are getting 5 million streams? Put your hand up if you know one artist in your family or friends that's getting 5 million streams. Now, who knows an artist, right? Most of you probably know somebody, right? And that's what I'm trying to say. So this is where we need to really think about it as a community, as a Web3 community. And yes, I'm an investor in crypto, blah, blah, blah. Everything you imagine, I'm in it, all right? I got my computer about to blow up because it's mining right now, okay? So I get it, and I understand where we are here and why we're here, but I just wanted to give you guys a little perspective of what the life of an actual musician every single day is. It's the grind and the hustle and doing 17,000 things. Oh yeah, and working as a waiter or whatever they're doing without any certainty of anything. But guess what? You guys can help fix the problem by creating, okay, I'll use it, trustless applications.
Permissionless.
Exactly.
Trustless.
Yeah, that's fine. Well, if it helps solve the problem, I'll adapt it.
Yeah. So we're not going to eliminate the word, but I do think the crowd could understand if all artists are looking for when they're entering is somebody like Alan being like, "Oh, I trust you to get me from point A to B." So So it's trustless. Like now I can't trust. It's okay. I think it's just more of a. We have to explain it a little bit better.
Semantics.
Well,
It's
yeah,
okay.
semantics.
But you guys get it, right? You guys feel what I'm talking about. I mean, the life of musicians is, I mean, listen, all careers are tough. Totally get it, totally respect it, you know? But if you look at the difference between what most of us were able to do that could make a living doing other stuff versus what a musician had to do during the pandemic, it's not the same, you know? Sorry. And we all went through the same thing, but it's not the same.
Definitely not the same.
Yeah,
Nice.
and one thing I kind of wanted to touch on for a little bit here is story matters, right? And so I know a lot of people probably saw these NFT collections that went gangbusters last year, promised a roadmap and all of this stuff, and at the end of the day, there is no narrative or story behind it, and now they're trying to go back and retrofit that story into it. So like one piece of advice I would say, like if you want to work with talent or you're working on a new project or a new platform, implement story and storytelling from the get-go and start building that authenticity and that emotional connection into whatever projects you're doing or into whatever platforms you're doing, because people are always going to come and support a project or a company that they resonate with or have an emotional attachment to. And I think that sometimes gets overlooked by the tech side of everything. And so now we're hitting that chasm where, you know, projects that we thought were, you know, really, really good are starting to hit that mode of where do we go to next? Or we have a game coming out and it's not getting that many downloads because there's no story. And so it's like, similar to what Jalen was talking about earlier, there's universality and specificity. So like if you have a very, very specific story or a very, very specific problem that you're solving for, you might think that it's small, but there's probably thousands of people that resonate with that problem or that story and really nail down on that. And that's a good way to either A, build a project or build a brand, or B, build a platform to onboard people that resonate with that story. So I always try to tell people like the tech is important, but also find that common connective thread with like your fellow person to like, if you want to bring on talent, if you want to bring on community, because I think that sometimes gets overlooked in a lot of the projects we've seen thus far.
Yeah.
Just following on from that as well, I think like when you work with talents and the NFT drop doesn't do well, it affects their brand personally, it affects the trust that their fans have for them. So I think tech companies, if they want talent onboarded into their projects or to elevate their projects, you need to get people that understand the music side and the tech side, and they can make it part of their campaign so it doesn't feel like a cash grab, it doesn't feel like they're scamming anyone, and it doesn't tarnish their brand. So there's not a huge amount of us, but everyone on stage right now, like if you need those services, that is something that we all specialize in. So yeah, if you need any advice, hit us up.
Nice.
Yeah, I just also, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just going to say one of the things that we were going to touch on here is like, what are our big predictions, or what do we want to see, you know?
yeah.
And what I really want to have is more conversations around, you know, DeFi. Yes, I like the NFT thing, but I really see that in the future. I mean, right now, music is the only type of art where someone has dictated what the value of it is. We all listen to music here. I could be making a song in my bedroom. Somebody back there could be working with the London Symphony Orchestra and spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to make this incredible track that shouldn't be. I mean, right now, music is getting shorter and shorter, like a minute and a half. It's ridiculous, right? But you might have something like this brilliant piece, and Spotify and the government...
Both worth 0.004376.
Yeah, Spotify and the government have told you that it's all going to be relatively the exact same price. And so that's really where, you know, I'm super hopeful of what we can all build together, is that we can build our own catalogs, we can build our own streaming platform, I can choose what music I want to listen to, and I can decide what I value, you know, your music. Like if you, again, are creating a piece like that, I may pay $10 for it. And so we need to have kind of a succinct platform to be able to have that type of process. And I'm just really hopeful, there's a fly flying in my face, that's good luck, right? That means I'm on the right track. That we're gonna get there, because I want to be able to have that agency. I want every artist to be able to dictate, this is what I value my music in, and if you don't have the same value, well then, you know, there's plenty of other music to listen to. So that's
there
really
is
what
good news, and we're going to leave you with this. This is great news. You ready? We did solve the problem. I'm not just saying that. Literally, the problem of how we're going to track your IP, your intellectual property, anywhere, anytime, in real time, has been solved. You're welcome, all right?
And they
So
are
if
open
you want to
for
collaborate on that and you want to hear more about this, you can come and talk to me or Rachel.
Yeah.
And
We're building teams.
pretty soon,
We're
we're building
together.
teams. These folks hopefully will be part of the team as well. And definitely
Definitely.
Chainlink.
Chainlink
Yeah.
will be the the pipes of
Yeah,
the
you're in.
entire
We're not-
solving all of the problems.
The problem has been solved. So there you go.
I guess
Amen.
do we have any other big predictions for what's going to happen?
Yeah, I think that there's going to be a new era of experiences that we're not really thinking about right now. So, I hate saying it, but it's true. Apple, whenever they come out with a product, they evolve the way that we interact with things, right? And I think that the augmented reality environment, mixed reality, along with blockchain and Web3 are going to really crash together pretty soon.
I personally think that social media, how we're going at the moment, is going to be how you have Instagram and feeds and stuff like that. I think like a Roblox or a Sandbox and things like that, you'll go into a game and you'll speak with your friends and you'll play games with your friends, and it's like you're in the metaverse hanging out. Obviously, within that sense, you'll have wearables, you'll have NFTs, you'll have all these different entities. But I don't think they'll be called that. I think it will just be as simple as you're going into a game, you're buying the skin, you're interacting with the events you want to go into, and I think that economy is absolutely huge. I think there's going to be a lot more of the problems that we do face in music that are being solved by tech and solved by... There's just a lot of very interesting projects globally that actually help the world in a better way and really push a better message. And I'm really excited for that tech to be used in collaboration with the right people and projects and just elevated to make the world a better place.
One of my big predictions, it's not that big. I just think we'll start seeing more artists go the independent route because there's just more pipes and rails for them to get their music out to their audience in a distributed manner. So for instance, one of our clients, Daniel Allen, he just did 400 ETH on his, I want to say a few of his singles this last week. His EP comes out tomorrow. And so we had really strong discussions of whether or not he should go the traditional record label route when he already has a community that's buying his stuff. And so I just think that there will just be more opportunity just based off of what the companies they're building and a lot of the stuff that Lucy is doing, that now you can get all those services in a distributed manner that you don't have to now rely on traditional music industry for anymore. Now you can have a consortium of 5 or 6 companies that provide all those things while you can still keep and own your IP. So I think that's like on the next 3 to 4 years, 3 to 4, 5 years.
100%. We're seeing major artists leave labels.
Yeah. And so it's like
it's exciting.
Exactly.
We know this for a fact.
Yeah.
Yes,
We consult for major superstars, and they're literally counting the days for their contract to be done. Imagine that. And we know this. We're not telling you something from TMZ. This is like our clients, our partners, our friends.
Yeah.
This is there's an exodus happening in real time, and I do want to say that we're also so open to conversations, to moving the needle, to doing things. I'm a New Yorker, so it's like when we say something, we go for it, we do it, I lived in LA Flakers. Sorry, I know that you're probably here. I love you. But we need to, in this business, we need to get it done because it's all a matter of time.
And I just wanted to finish my thought. So, and then on the film and TV side, you're going to start to see a lot more IP and characters being launched and created in a distributed version. Similar to what you've seen, like a lot of people have done podcasts, and then based off of those streams of podcasts, they've now turned into TV shows and film. You can start seeing people launching characters, whether it's like a little Michaela or some of these things, and like are these far off DC characters that DC's not necessarily using. Now you can start to like build those origin stories, build those fan bases around that IP or those characters, and then take it to a Disney or a Warner and be like, hey, I have a Discord of 50,000. They've bought this. They really want to see this show, and you're now, skipping multiple levels of IP dilution
Yes.
or IP ownership
Yeah.
dilution,
Yep.
because now you're coming to them with like a fully baked product with an audience, and you'll start to see that on the film
Love it.
side as well.
I know we're at time. I got to end it. But can I say 1 second? Just bringing it back to Sergey's keynote yesterday. The unfortunate failures of our system now is what's going to change things. So get out there and be like, you know what? I want my artists to make more money. Then Spotify, the executives will change. If everybody starts talking at them and conversates, that's when things change. So get out there and advocate for your creators. And thank you guys.
Amazing. Yeah.